I want you to finish this sentence. Well, first I'm going to lay the groundwork. We're defining God as that which is ultimate and a mind. Okay, meaning that God is that which is foundational to all of reality, that all things derive and depend upon. God's a mind, meaning that he's conscious, he has awareness, intelligence, agency, those kind of things. So, from that, as an atheist, the position is that there is no God. So, I want you to finish the sentence here. God does not exist because.
It's your
Yeah,
prerogative, Doc,
godless.
but I mean,
Go
I
pound
just...
sand before I block
come
you.
up.
Yo, J. Robin.
Oh,
What's up,
what?
man?
Jay running.
J. Robin, I have like this new argument for atheism.
Morning.
I'll let you do that
Go
instead
ahead.
of saying religion's not a grift because.
Oh, J. Robin, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm right here.
You're a bit quiet.
What about now? Am I still the same, or?
You're very quiet. Can you speak up a little bit, J. Robin?
All right, hold on 1 second. Let me leave and join back.
Yeah, you sound a little timid.
Do I sound better now?
A bit, yeah. It's on my end.
Okay. You said you had an argument?
Absolutely.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna post it in the room chat. I think that should work. There you go. Why does it not post if it's too long?
Yeah, I was gonna say you might have to break it up.
Oh, that's annoying.
Well, if anyone comments between, I'll just delete the comment. Don't worry about that.
What if I try to do this? It's annoying because it doesn't break the premises. Let's see. Maybe there's a...
Yeah, well, this is the argument you talked about yesterday, right, Sasha?
Yeah.
You're saying there's reason to believe something. You're not actually
That's
falsifying
not
the
the
existence
conclusion yet.
Oh, okay.
Wait, why isn't premise 6 posting?
Now, premise 5 is
fast.
problematic. You know that, right?
Yeah, sometimes when you type a bunch, they slow you down a little bit.
It's a rate limit, yeah.
Like I said, if any comments happen, I'll delete them so that the syllogism works.
Yeah, I can't. It's just like refusing to let me post the 6th one, right? Oh, okay, there we go.
Yep.
7. There you go. Okay, the conclusion was one post.
You're just saying you have
the conclusion is therefore we have reason to believe that God doesn't exist.
Yeah, but that's not a falsification of God.
I mean,
that's you saying you might have reasons in your mind that God doesn't exist. Fine.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like the point against theism.
That's the conclusion. No, because people can have their own reasons as to whether or not God exists or not. Like, that's fine, whatever. That doesn't mean that God doesn't exist.
You're like a subjectivist about epistemic reasons or something?
No, I'm just saying that you have explanations. You can have explanations, and those explanations can count as reasons. That doesn't make the explanations right or the reasons right or rational or anything.
So that's like the business of discussion, debate, and philosophy, right? To like give reasons and arguments for your views. But I mean, like, if that's not the case, then like
you said you had an argument against the existence of God. This is not an argument against the existence of God. This is an argument for your own reasons.
Is the discussion is over?
Yeah, but
of course it's an argument against God or against theism. Because if we have reason to believe that God doesn't exist, and we have reason to believe that theism is false.
Yeah, but Sasha, you're still legit.
Hey, John Lay, point of order. Just let them have the conversation, okay?
Point of personal privilege.
Hey,
Also,
I mean,
I heard Sasha open
who's...
with saying that she had a argument for atheism.
This is an argument for
if there is an argument that to the
atheism is a
conclusion
that there is no God.
Yeah,
right?
if there is an argument to believe that we have reason, if we have reason to believe that God doesn't exist, that's just gonna mean that we have reason to believe atheism. Because that's just what atheism says.
Oh, fuck.
Wait, what? Did J. Robin say something, or? Maybe I didn't hear because I was responding to JJ.
I mean, all you're saying is that all the minds you've observed are
it's not
embodied.
That I've observed.
Okay, this is irrelevant. All the minds that people have observed, that have been observed, are within bodies. That doesn't mean that all minds are embodied, right? Because
no, it doesn't entail it logically, but that's just like induction.
No,
so it's no charge of induction to say that it's not like logical deduction.
This is perfectly consistent, okay, with the notion that minds are not embodied, and that physical bodies can be a medium through which
when
minds.
When you say consistent, you mean logically consistent or evidentially
yes.
consistent? Yeah, but logically who cares about logically consistent when I'm giving an inductive argument?
Well, if minds are disembodied, right? Mm-hmm. If minds can exist without a body, there's nothing physical that you're going to see that's going to give credence to the notion that a mind exists without a body. All you're saying is that you see, every instance of a mind you see is within the body. That doesn't mean in any way that a mind exists solely.
No, it just gives inductive support to that conclusion.
Okay, I mean, do you want me to? I don't know what the response you want from me is, honestly. I mean, I don't really care because you think that all minds you notice are inside of bodies. Like, I don't really care. I mean, you're just saying you have reasons in your mind to deny God's existence.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not just me, right? Like, it's anybody who accepts those.
Whatever. Like, the point is that whatever. Like, okay, you have reasons. You see all the minds you see are outside of or are within bodies. Okay, fine. I agree. I think the same thing too. I agree that all minds that I've seen have been within bodies. That doesn't mean I don't hold to the belief that all minds require a body.
No, but I'm just saying that gives inductive support to the conclusion. Do you not accept induction?
That's not my sole standard of belief.
But you accept induction generally.
Induction can be good, yeah. It's a good, useful tool, but that's not the only thing I use.
Yeah, okay. So you might have contravening reasons to reject the argument. Like, you might think I have maybe you have an ontological argument that works, and then you could reject this argument. But as things stand, this does provide support for atheism, and thus give reason to reject theism. Right? Because if you accept induction, then I think it's premise 5 just follows. Oh, sorry, it's gonna be 4.
I'm not an empiricist. Are you?
You don't have to be an empiricist. But you admitted that induction can be a good way of reasoning. Unless you want to tell me why this is a poor instance of induction.
I'm not saying it's a poor instance of induction. I'm saying that induction does not necessitate claims. And if you're not trying to
everybody agrees with that, right? No, but everybody agrees with that. They're just saying induction isn't deduction.
Do you think this is controversial? I mean, you could just say that.
Do you think it's controversial that induction isn't deduction?
No, I'm saying, do you think this, the conclusion of this argument is controversial or anything? Because, I agree with you that we haven't seen God, we haven't seen non-physical minds, but for the most part, okay. I agree with you. I don't believe that God doesn't exist. I don't believe that there's good reason to believe that God doesn't exist. Yeah. I don't believe that. So you're not saying anything
that's fine. But
with my worldview.
You would if all you have is just the proposition that God exists, then initially, without any other reasons, you should say it's 50-50, right? By the principle of indifference. And I'm giving you reason to say, actually, it's less likely that God exists. The God exists rather than that he doesn't, right? The existence of God is less likely given this argument. So you would need to provide some other argument to push the balance in your favor to maintain being rational. Otherwise, you're just affirming something you have reason to disbelieve.
No, I'm not. Right.
I mean, you do have this reason to reject the existence of God. So you need some like other reason to say why you think God exists. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you
God's
just be
revelation.
irrational.
God's revelation.
Sorry, what?
You said revelation for some
He said
reason.
God's revelation.
Yeah. I don't. How's that relevant?
God's revealed to me that he exists. He's revealed his
Yeah, but
existence to everyone.
I don't understand how that how that even works, right? Because no one will explain that to anyone because it's a weasel word.
Well, so what did God like do in specific? Like, what happened there? Like, did you like? Can you explain this revelation? Like, what experience did you have? How did it relate to God and so on?
Yeah, the very way of our thinking is teleological, right? Everyone knows that there's a creator, and then there.
Well, I don't know that there's a creator.
Well, you deny that, of course, right? You deny that.
Yeah, so then I don't believe it, right? If I deny it, so then I don't know it.
Well, no, you've just denied the existence, right? You've just suppressed that.
Yeah, so then I don't believe it, right?
Don't you need?
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about. I thought we were having a one-on-one conversation.
All right, fine, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not talking about some sort of a belief state that's just like a plain belief state. I'm talking about something that God has given us, that we, in sort of like the way of our thinking, that you have chosen to deny and chosen to reject. Okay.
So what do I have in the way of my thinking that like would allow me to infer that God exists?
That's just the way God has ordered you to think. God has created you in such a way that we have revelation of him, right? And that we have certain innate knowledge that is
yeah, so like what's that innate knowledge like? Like I'm trying to get at that, like
yeah, that we're not autonomous, right? That we are creaturely.
No, just hold on, like when you say knowledge, at minimum that's gonna be like some mental state, right? So can you tell me like what sort of mental state it is that I have, right? That like is part of my mind that indicates that like God's revelation.
I think I already explained it to you.
Well, it wasn't very clear to me. So maybe you can like repeat.
Yeah, when we're talking about knowledge of God, we're talking about the access to God's revelation that you have, that everyone has, and that they're not with rational excuse to deny.
How does that answer the question?
You asked me what constitutes the knowledge as I'm using it, and I'm saying that they have access to God's revelation. Not that.
Yeah, so I'm asking, like,
what
does that mean? Like, what kind of access?
That God has revealed it to you. God has shown you the revelation. God has shown you certain truths about Himself and the world.
Like what?
That He exists. That the world.
Wait, how has God shown me that He exists?
Well, can you let me finish, please?
Yeah. Okay.
That the world is orderly. That it exists in certain ways, right? That are consistent with God's nature, right? This is not complicated. This is not controversial. This is pretty simple, actually. And
okay, so
you're choosing not to understand it is just telling me everything I need to know. To be honest,
I don't think I'm choosing not to understand it.
No,
okay, so you're saying God has shown me that He exists because the world is ordered. So it's like, since I see that the world is ordered, I know that God exists. Is that the idea?
Well, it's not. I'm not saying that it's necessarily all knowledge of God is like inferential. I'm saying that that's the way that God has created us.
Well, you told me that the way that God shown me that He exists is by making the world orderly, right?
Well, that's one way, but that's not the only way, right? I think that God has given us.
I just want to focus on one. So, like, let's take the world is ordered. So the world is ordered, and from that I can infer that God exists.
Well, that's one instance of God's revelation.
Okay, so like the world is ordered, therefore God exists. So why would I accept this inference? Like, let's say I accept.
I didn't say anything about an inference. I just said that you asked me how God revealed Himself. I said that that's one way that God's revealed Himself.
Okay, so the world is ordered. and that's supposed to constitute divine revelation, meaning that God is like showing me that he exists. So how does he do that by just the world being ordered? If there is no inference
Yeah, the world
from
is
the world being ordered,
reflective.
the existence of God.
The world is reflective of his nature.
Okay, so like,
right?
what
So
can I observe that like tells me?
God's eternal qualities, right, have been shown through what has been made.
Well, it sounds like you're moving to like a different,
no, that's just
different instance of that revelation, right? I'm just asking about the ordered stuff.
Yeah, what has been made, right? We're talking about the quality of the world, the properties of the world, right? That God has shown.
Okay, so which property of the world can I infer the existence of God from?
The fact that there is intelligibility, the fact that there is
intelligibility. Let's just focus on one.
That we can know things.
So how does it follow from there being intelligibility that there is God?
Yeah, because there's some sort of there has to be a metaphysical primary reference point that exists.
A metaphysical primary reference point. Okay, so there has to be a metaphysical primary reference point for intelligibility. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so like let's start with intelligibility. Like what do you mean by that?
By intelligibility, we're saying that the facts exist with reference to something. That there's a context.
Exist with reference to something. There is context. Sorry, what?
Yeah, like metaphysically. So the very fact's identity is meaningful with respect to what it is metaphysically.
So like by intelligibility, that's not really what I mean. By intelligibility, I just mean that like there is a world.
Well, it doesn't matter what you mean because you asked me what I mean, right? And I was going to invoke the term.
Well, because if that's what you mean by intelligibility, then I'm not even sure if I'm committed to there being such a thing. And then I'm not sure if that's gonna like be something that I'm gonna think God revealed to me.
Okay, well then you can invoke
because
facts.
It was supposed to be that God revealed some fact to me, by which I can tell that he exists.
Intelligibility is going to be the grounds by which the facts are the facts. They're going to be the reason why the facts are the facts. It's going to be the how the facts are connected to each other, right? Those kind of things are invoked. Only when a metaphysical reality is actualized.
A metaphysical reality is what?
Is actual, if it's real.
Okay, so
actualize might not have been the right word, but if it's real.
So is the idea something like facts require some like ultimate reference point? Is that sort of the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. So then like I agree that there are facts. So from that I can infer that God exists because facts require an ultimate reference point.
Yes.
Okay. So like I take it that there's like a fact like this. There's a cup on my table. Why does that fact require an ultimate reference point?
Because in order for you to call it a cup, right? In order for you to call it a table, in order for you to invoke identity over time, coherence and intelligibility between those two things, that isn't standalone. That is grounded in something, right? If it was just existent within a metaphysical void, right, then the identity wouldn't be attributed to anything, right? It would all be spontaneous. There wouldn't be any rhyme or reason as to what or why anything is at all.
You said like I need this to invoke the fact, right? But I think the fact would be there whether I invoke it or not, right? So
no, I'm saying that the fact to be actual, right? You're invoking the fact as though it is true, right? What you're doing is you're invoking, implicitly you're invoking a whole bunch of things that that are consistent or that would be grounded within a metaphysical framework. As opposed to like a metaphysical vacuum.
So are you saying that the fact that the cup exists requires a metaphysical framework, or just me invoking the fact?
The fact that the cup exists.
Okay. So let's get clear on that. The fact itself requires a metaphysical framework. Okay, so what is it like that metaphysical framework that's required for the cup?
That there's something. What do you mean? What's the metaphysical framework?
Like what is you're saying that the fact that the cup is there requires this metaphysical framework. So what's the metaphysical framework required?
We're talking about
for the
God.
cup.
God would be that ultimate metaphysical standard or ultimate metaphysical framework.
Well, that's what you think. I get that's what you think, but I'm saying, right? Like, why couldn't that fact exist in a different metaphysical framework, or like without a metaphysical framework, whatever that is? That's why I'm trying to get clarity initially on that. Because if you're just gonna say the fact itself requires that God exists, obviously I'm not gonna accept that.
I'm not clear as to what you're asking me.
Okay, so you said the
God
fact
is defined
itself
as
requires
ultimate and primary to all things. That's what we're talking about.
So you affirmed that the fact itself requires a metaphysical framework. So I want to know what a metaphysical framework is.
Yeah, we're talking about something that's ultimate. We're talking about something that is, we're talking about God, yeah. The ultimate eternal metaphysical framework. Or ultimate metaphysical
Okay, so why does the cup require that? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because in order for it to be a cup, you're invoking its identity, you're invoking its relationship with other things, right? Which is, you're invoking essentially the nature of the fact, right? If the fact has no metaphysical nature, then it's meaningless to invoke it as a cup.
Wait, why couldn't the fact have like an identity or relations without God?
Well, what you're invoking is a fact.
It doesn't matter what I'm invoking, right? Because you said the fact itself.
I'm telling you what you're saying. The state of affairs that you're predicating about, right? It's the state of affairs that exists according to you, right? Purportedly. But that must, in order for that to like be something that you're actually invoking meaningfully, it exists with identity. It has a nature to the fact. There's an ontology that is to that fact, right? As opposed to the ontology of another fact. And that is going to be grounded by a metaphysical reality, right? Otherwise, it's not a fact at all. Because when you're talking about like a metaphysical reality or metaphysical contact, you're talking about the nature of the fact. If the fact doesn't have any fundamental metaphysical nature to itself, then it can't be said to be a fact in any meaningful way.
I mean, I agree that maybe the fact requires something like identity, maybe some relations or whatever, right? Because like maybe if I want to characterize the color of the cup, I need to invoke some relational properties. That's all fine, but I'm just unclear about why God is required for that. Yeah, like let's just say that God, the cup. I understand that.
In order for you to say that, yeah, in order for it to have those properties must exist within a metaphysical framework. Otherwise, it doesn't have, as opposed to being in like a metaphysical void, right?
No, but the metaphysical framework is just like the identity, relation, ontology, nature. Just asking, why do any of those things require God? Like, why couldn't the cup have like the identity of a cup without God? Why couldn't it have like the nature of being a cup without God? Why couldn't it have like the relations of being on my desk and so on without God? That's what I'm not understanding.
I'm not really understanding what you're asking me, because I just told you, right? When it comes to God's or when it comes to the properties of the object you're talking about, those are only grounded in virtue of something that's primary, that exists.
Let's just focus on like identity, right? You're saying the cup requires a metaphysical framework because like otherwise it wouldn't have identity. So, and that metaphysical framework has to be God. So I'm not sure. Why couldn't the cup just have like an identity if there is no God? Like if it's just like the physical world and maybe like the Platonic realm or something. Like why couldn't the cup have identity then?
Yeah, well, there's nothing that's actually imposing identity upon it. You're just describing what it is.
It means to impose an identity?
That it has the metaphysical like foundation of, in this case, God, right? If all you're doing is just trying to describe it,
it has different like metaphysical foundation in my view. It's gonna be like the Platonic object.
Yeah, but there's no like dependence upon anything in your worldview, right? It's just what you're describing it as.
No, I'm saying there's like a different metaphysical foundation to impose the identity of the object, and that's the like Platonic like essence of identity.
What do you mean the
That's
Platonic
like my
essence? What do you mean
metaphysical
the Platonic
foundation that like
essence?
imposes the identity on the cup. Sorry, what?
What do you mean the Platonic essence of identity?
Or that's just the metaphysical like grounding for the identity of the cup.
And you're saying so these Platonic objects exist. This abstract or Platonic realm exists. That all these facts derive and depend upon.
Yeah.
Okay. And these Platonic objects, how are they unified to each other?
They're all Platonic objects.
Yeah, how are they unified though?
Didn't I just answer the question?
You're telling me you're invoking the unity amongst them, but I'm asking you how they're unified.
Well, so I mean, like, what does the question mean? Like, if you ask me, like, how are these books unified?
How do you categorize?
I would like name some common property.
What is giving you the ability to categorize them as Platonic objects?
They're like non-physical. That's what they have in common.
You're not understanding the question. I'm asking what is actually imposing the oneness amongst them.
What does that mean? Like, give me like an example from the real world.
That you can actually refer to them as, when you said books or when you say the Platonic objects, that there's an actual unity to them. That they can actually be called books and that they're not just discrete particular objects.
Isn't that just like a common property?
No, in order for you to say property, in order for you to invoke the word property, in order for you to invoke the concept property, there's unity amongst those kind of things too. How are you getting any of that?
Unity between properties.
Yeah, when you say that this is a property and that's the same property as the other thing, and that you can call them properties, on what basis can you do that?
It's like, what do all properties have in common? Is that the idea?
This is not complicated to understand, Sasha. Okay. You're invoking these words.
It's complicated for me.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, but this is not rocket science, okay? When you say that there are objects, plural, you're invoking categories, you're invoking classes of things, and I'm asking you, what in reality is actually unifying them? That you can actually
that is just going to be Platonic objects, right?
Invoking the categories and concepts. No, but you're telling me that there is a realm of Platonic objects that each refer to each like their own things. I'm asking you, on what basis are these things unified? How can you call them Platonic objects?
I mean, I told you how I identify them.
No, but I'm asking you how they're unified. I'm not asking you what your mind may encapsulate these things as.
Well, if you're like asking like, what does the class have in common? That's just gonna be like another Platonic object that's like the
That's not an answer to the question.
I mean, sorry, it's gonna be like a set, right? The set of Platonic objects.
What is unifying
so it's gonna be like a Platonic object.
What's unifying them?
Sorry, what? What do you mean?
What's unifying them?
I thought I just answered the question. So they're like all the part of the set, right? That's like what the idea is behind
it. By saying like, by saying them, you're presupposing their unity. So
like, I mean, I don't see how this is different from God, right? Like,
I'm asking,
God unifies.
That's not an answer to the question.
Well, it's relevant though. But I tried answering the question, and you don't seem to really answer like the answer.
So what is it again? That's imposing unity.
Yeah, so like the categories unified by belonging to the set, and the set itself is a Platonic object.
Yeah, all you're doing is just invoking categories upon categories. I'm asking you, what is it that you're actually is unifying?
I'm not sure what you want. I think I'm answering the question like I'm answering the question like
me three.
In terms of the debate between like nominalism and Platonism, how it's externally understood. That like if you want to say that there's some like objective similarity between things in the world, like the Platonist is just saying that what grounds that is like the like essence or something, whatever you want to say, right? So that's what they have in common. That's like an actual existing thing that I don't know grounds their unity or something. I'm not sure if there is something more to that.
I'm not asking about what they have in common, because in order for you to invoke commonality between things, you're still invoking classes and categories. You're saying that they have the set of properties that
Yeah,
are
I'm
in
also
line with
telling
each
you
other,
which class they
consistent with each
belong
other.
to, right? And there is
Right.
an
So what I'm asking
object.
you is how you are able to invoke that they are, in fact, unified. That they can be invoked under the same umbrella of things, of objects, as opposed to them
You
just being
just mean
discrete
like
objects
how
that
I
exist.
do it, that they can be invoked?
No, I'm
Like
asking
what
you
I do this?
what is it in reality that is allowing you to meaningfully predicate on their
Yeah, the
unity?
Platonic forms. That's what allows me to do
Yeah,
that.
but I'm asking you what unifies these forms, as opposed to them just being discrete objects.
I mean, there's probably gonna be like a form, right? That's like, I mean, the Platonic object called a set. That's just gonna like be the set of Platonic objects. That's gonna include itself.
I'm not hearing a clear answer to my question.
Did you understand my answer?
You just said that there's a set of things. I'm asking you what.
No, I
is
said there is a
unifying
set of Platonic objects that includes itself, right? So that's the like actual object that grounds the unity of the Platonic objects.
So what is it again? You're saying the set?
Yeah.
So you're just invoking I'm asking you what is actually. So is it the mental set that you just classify?
It's not a
in your
mental
mind?
set. It's like
Okay, so
non-mental.
what is it specifically?
Are you looking for like some properties of it?
I'm not. Your answer is not very specific. It's not very interesting or.
Like, are you familiar with set theory? Do you know what kind of like what a set is in mathematics? We can like look up the definition for that. If that's the part that's unclear.
You're just saying you have a collection of things. Like I'm not understanding what is actually unifying them.
There is an object out there in the world, a Platonic form, right? Or a Platonic object, right? That's the set of all Platonic objects. That's what's unifying them.
Oh, so there is a Platonic object that's unifying all of these things? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then how? So this Platonic object, what is it? Is it does it stand in causal relation to anything?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it specifically? I want to know the properties of this thing.
Yeah, but what are you asking with this question?
I'm asking you, what is it?
I'm not sure what you mean. Like, are you asking for some properties of it, or?
That's what I just asked.
Okay, so it's like non-physical, non-spatially extended, can like interact with my mind. It's not mental. It's not like a thought. Is that enough?
So this thing is not a you said it's not. You said it's non-physical. You said it has what interaction with what?
Sorry, what?
You said it had an interaction with something?
Yeah, it can interact with my mind.
Okay, how's that?
Sorry, what?
How's that?
Like, what's the mechanism?
Yeah, how do you know? What do you mean it's interacting with your mind?
Yes, I have like this mental faculty for grasping these objects, and by using it, I can like come in contact with these objects. That's how they influence me. Just how like your eyes can be influenced by the like light in the physical world.
Okay, so how do you what's this faculty you're talking about?
It's the faculty for like detecting the Platonic essences.
And how do you know you have this faculty?
It's part of like that faculty that like I can know that I have it.
I'm asking you how you know that you have it.
Yeah, it just like provides me with the self-knowledge of it. It's like transparent.
That's not clear. That's not a clear answer to me.
Look, it's just part of the concept of this faculty that's transparent to me that I have it.
It's not transparent to me. I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, but it's transparent to me. That's what I need to know.
Well, I'm asking
you.
you.
How do I know that I have it?
Yeah, but I'm asking you, what like, because we're talking about a being that's ultimate, right? And that's a mind. At least that's what God is defined as, right? So the way that knowledge is apprehended through the revelation of God, right? That God reveals certain things, and that is through that revelation that you can.
Right? How does God do that?
What do you mean? How does God do that?
Well, you asked me, like, how do I know that these things exist, right? It's like, I told you they stand in, like, some causal relation to me, such that I can, like, grasp them, right? And you asked me to specify. So what's this, like, mechanism by which God reveals things to you?
Yeah, God.
Like, what's going on?
So God imbues us. So for one, there are many different ways that God can reveal things to us. One way is like general revelation, wherein God creates us with our senses. God creates us with a mind and an awareness of the external world. God also will directly reveal things to us just into our mind without the need of like an external, like.
Yeah, so God just,
external,
like, beams the belief into your
external.
head, right?
You say?
So God, like, just beams the belief into your head.
Sure, if you want to call it beaming the belief, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
sure.
so, like, the Platonic objects just, like, beam, like, the right type of belief into my head.
How do you have any basis to know that what's happening is true? That is revelation, and it sounds like revelation to me. I don't know. What revelation
it's
is
not,
without
because
a
it's
mind.
not personal. The Platonic objects aren't like people.
Yeah. So how do you know that any of what this is true?
It's just like the essence of it. I
So
think, I mean, like,
how
if
do you
you're
know
gonna
how do you
say
know
that these
it's...
Platonic objects could deceive me, you're just talking about a different thing.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
No, I mean, like, look, if you're just gonna say that, like, how do you know these aren't the type of Platonic objects that could, like, beam the wrong type of beliefs into my head, you're just, like, changing the topic, right?
Oh, that's what I'm
That's
asking
not the
you.
type of Platonic objects I'm talking. Oh, what are you asking then?
Yeah, I'm asking you how do you know that any of this is true?
Yes, I thought I answered.
No, you said
Right?
you
That's
just
like
said
the
it's a
same
different.
thing
You
as,
just
like,
said it's a different
asking.
question. I'm asking you how do you know that any of these things that you're talking about are true?
That's just how they're defined.
Truth revealing.
Look, that's just my worldview, right? My worldview is that
So you don't know.
the, like,
You're just
Platonic
defining it to be
object.
true.
No. That's just the view, right? If you, like, want to talk about a different type of Platonic objects that could beam, like, false beliefs into my head, I would just be, like, changing the topic.
No, I'm asking you how do you know that's false?
What's false?
That these aren't false beliefs that are being implanted into your head.
That's what I'm answering to, right?
No, you didn't answer. You just said
said
it's a different conversation. Let's have the conversation. I'm asking you how do you know it's not true?
Yeah, I'm saying that given my view, what you're asking me is a nonsense question, right?
Well, why is it nonsense? That's why I'm asking you. Why is it nonsense to you? Is it because you defined it as false?
I'm telling you, like, what my worldview is, right?
So is your worldview
like what's required for?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm asking you. So you have a. So
yeah,
you have
I'm
this
telling
worldview.
you what my worldview is.
Yeah, no.
Where
So
I get my intelligibility
you
from, right?
You have this worldview. Great. I'm asking you, how do you know now that this isn't false? Right. That these are not false beliefs being.
But it was also, like, beamed into my head that it's not false. Like, the essence is beamed into my head. Look, so.
Yes, now you're just making this up on the spot. You're just making this up on the spot.
No.
Right, so this
look,
is just
the Platonic object. That's, like, the essence of the Platonic object.
Okay.
Was also beamed into my head, and
No,
said
why
that,
didn't you
like,
say that
all of
earlier?
the, like,
Why didn't you
beamings
say
into
that
my head are
earlier?
accurate. That they won't be false.
No, it's not, because I'm not aware of that. Right. I don't know what you're.
That's, like, your problem. You're, like, probably suppressing the Platonic objects.
No, I'm not aware of what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you're suppressing it.
Yeah, so now you're just coming up with this off the top of your head.
Like, you put, like, a tinfoil hat on, and you're, like, suppressing the beams from the Platonic realm. You're, like, making up this, like, old grandpa that, like, lives in the sky. Because you don't want to, like, admit the truth of the Platonic realm.
I'm not hearing, like, it doesn't make a. I'm not hearing a clear answer to my question.
I answered.
When I ask you how you know,
but I'll help you, like, understand a different way, right? Because I thought I gave a clear answer, but I'll try to give you, like, a different way of understanding, right? How do you know that God doesn't reveal false things to you?
Right.
In virtue of his revelation.
No, revelation could
be... Yeah. So in virtue of his revelation, right? That's pretty much the same answer I've given, right? The Platonic objects that, like, represents the essence of Platonic objects beam it into my head. That they won't lie to me, or they won't, like, give me false beliefs.
So it just sounds like you're, like, parodying the Christian worldview. You're just calling it
I'd never do that.
No, that's exactly what it sounds like you're doing.
Look, but hold on. First of all, that doesn't matter, right? Your position is that
absolutely
your position is that any view that doesn't presuppose the Christian God is gonna be like incoherent, won't provide for intelligibility. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing it by like parity or by parody, right? Like, if I can show that even such a worldview like works without the Christian God, that's enough to show that you're wrong.
No, but you are copying the properties of the Christian God. That's what you're doing.
The relevant ones. I haven't copied that he's like a person or something.
Or a mind or whatever.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
if that answer is, but if that answer is fine for you,
how do you know that any of this? How do you know that? Well, it's not fine because I'm not clear
Here's
as
the
to
thing,
how you know.
J. Robin.
Let him go. No.
This is a one-on-one. This is a one-on-one, please.
All right, whatever.
So how do you know that any of this isn't true? So I'm asking you.
Sorry, how do I know any photo is true?
Anything that any of these propositions that you hold to be true that have been quote unquote revealed.
Yeah, I told you that. Look, the Platonic object that's like represents the essence of all the Platonic objects, like deemed into my head, that all of the like information I'm getting from the Platonic realm is accurate. That I won't like be like led to false conclusions.
How is that a part of the Platonic object? Platonic objects represent like the true nature of things. It doesn't represent.
Yeah, so it beamed into my head the true nature of the Platonic objects, and the true nature of the Platonic objects is such that they can't like lead me to false beliefs. They're like accurately gonna.
That's not Platonism. Platonism just holds that.
No, it's my version of Platonism. It's like my own denomination.
So what is it specifically that is doing this?
The Platonic object. Like represents the essence of all of them.
Okay, this just sounds like you're just again doing exactly what I said you were doing earlier.
But what does it matter, right? Your entire position hinges on.
I mean, that the Christian worldview holds that there is something that's ultimate that is revealing things to you, right? That's always true.
But it's not personal in my view. Are you gonna say that it's not like a commitment of yours that the foundation is personal?
We're saying that it's revelatory.
That doesn't answer my question. Are you committed to the foundation being personal or no?
Yeah, we're saying it's a mind.
Okay, so I'm not saying it's a mind. So it doesn't matter if I like copy the different aspects of your view, right? Because I'm still maintaining a view where I can like ground intelligibility, but it's different from your view, which you said was like impossible, right?
Oh, you haven't. Right.
Wait, how have I not? You said that there needs to be like,
because,
for intelligibility, this like ultimate reference point. I told you exactly what it is.
Grounded, for example, like the truth revealing nature of this thing.
I did.
No, not clearly. No, you didn't.
But it's in the essence of those things that they are truth revealing. Sorry,
I don't even know what it means by the essence of that thing.
And isn't that like standard Christian terminology? That like what's good is like it's once in line with the essence of God. It's like the essence of God not to lie. You don't know what that means?
Yeah, but when you're talking about these other objects that you believe in, it's not too clear to me.
Okay, so you want me to clear up to you what I mean by an essence?
I just want you to clear up to me how you know that this thing isn't revealing falsehood to you. That it is in fact.
I already told you. It beamed into my head the like facts about the essence of the Platonic objects, and one of the like essential facts about Platonic objects is that they won't lead me to falsehood. They like won't lead me astray.
It's the essence of this what? Of this Platonic objects?
Sorry, what?
It's the essence of what exactly? I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
The essence of the it's the essence of the Platonic objects that they won't lead me astray. They won't like lead me to false conclusions. They won't like falsely report the world to me. Not really like report, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's not clear to me.
What's unclear to you?
I mean, it's the fact that you hold that this thing is always truth revealing. And all you're just telling me
how is this any different from saying that God revealed to you that He never lies to you, right? How is this different?
I mean, how's it different? It's clearly different. The worldviews are there's a Christian worldview.
Now, what's the relevant
there's...
difference between the two cases? You want to say that you know that God's revelation is reliable because He revealed it to you. I want to say that because the Platonic object that represents the essence of all of them, all of the Platonic objects, beamed into my head, that it's like truth revealing or truth beaming. That's how I know. So what's the relevant difference between the two cases?
Yeah, you don't have a basis by which you can say this. That's true.
Of course I have a basis.
No, you don't.
Look, that the essence of all of the Platonic objects has been revealed to me by this essence, right? Such that I, for certain, know that the Platonic objects won't deceive me.
Yeah, I'm asking how do you know that to be true?
It's part of the revelation, right? It's because it is the Platonic object that beamed this belief into my head that... So it's a Platonic object that beamed this belief into my head. As part of that belief, that all Platonic objects are gonna be truth revealing. So of course this one is gonna be as well.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like you're talking about a truth revealing ultimate creator.
Well, it's not a creator, and two, it's not personal.
So if it's not a creator, then on what basis can you say this is how we are?
Sorry, what?
You're getting way quiet there, J. Robin. If you could,
it didn't create anything.
Get close to your mic or something.
Yeah, sorry, what did
you
you say? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so what? This being that you have is ultimate. It's the creator of all things. I mean, what's the difference?
Okay, so it's just that you're mumbling?
It's not a creator, right? It's not a creator, and it's not a personal being. It's not all good. It didn't write the Bible. It didn't impregnate Mary at 15. It didn't do any of that.
Could you use your big boy voice?
So these things are not all. So these things are not all dependent upon this ultimate control to be true, is it?
Sorry, what?
These things are not all dependent upon this metaphysical foundation that you're talking about, is it?
Which things? What's not dependent on this metaphysical foundation?
Everything in existence.
No.
They're not.
Yeah, they are not. The Platonic objects, they didn't make the world.
So they exist independent. So their existence is independent of this thing that is metaphysically primary.
No, they are metaphysically primary.
I'm asking you the temporal states of existence in the world are not dependent. Their actuality is not dependent upon this thing that's ultimate because it didn't create.
No.
Okay, then you don't. I mean, then it's not what you're talking about. Isn't ultimate.
So what? Look, your challenge was to ground. Your challenge was to ground intelligibility without the Christian God.
Yeah,
now I take myself to have completed that task, right?
All these, no, because what you're talking about are things that are autonomous. Right? You're talking about autonomous creatures, right? So they exist standalone.
They're not creatures
from God. Well, you're talking about standalone temporal states of affairs.
I'm not sure. How does any of this relate to intelligibility? Right? The problem was supposed to be that I can't invoke classes of things. I told you how I do that, right? I gave you the grounding for it, the mechanism by which I'm acquainted with these classes, how I know it's reliable. So why are we moving off of that topic? Is there a problem for intelligibility given this view or no? Because then if there isn't,
are dependent upon this thing. So
yeah, but what does that matter for intelligibility? Right. The problem was the problem of intelligibility.
If they're not all contingent upon this thing, right? Then they exist autonomously.
Look, but wasn't the problem for intelligibility invoking classes?
It was many things. That was one of them.
Okay, so I can invoke classes without God, right?
No, I didn't say that.
But I'm asking.
No.
Wait, why not? I gave you a view that allows me to invoke classes, like how I know them, and how I know them
No,
to
you
be
don't.
true.
You can't. No, you don't. But you don't know them. That's the
I don't
problem,
know what.
because you can't. You don't know that they are real. You don't know anything's real.
No, of course I do.
Worldview. No, because you don't know anything. You don't know that this thing is always truth revealing.
No, I do. I told you how I know it. It's exactly.
No, you didn't.
It's like perfectly analogous to God's revelation. It's apparently how you know that. So either tell me like, what's this analogy, or stop special pleading.
No, I mean I explained it to you already. Like.
No, what's the this analogy? I don't think you've explained it. What's that this analogy that's relevant to these things allowing to invoke classes?
Yeah, you wouldn't have a basis by which you could assert that this thing is ultimate, or that it's always truth revealing.
Well, the ultimate part I don't really care about, but I do have a basis to say why it's always truth revealing, and we've discussed it. And what I'm asking you is, what is the symmetry breaker between the way I acquired the knowledge that this stuff is always truth revealing, and how you acquired the knowledge that God is always truth revealing? Right, so the process by which you know that God's revelation is always truth revealing is because God revealed it to you. And the way that I know that these essences are always truth revealing is because one of them beamed into my head that the fact that it's like essential for these Platonic objects to always be truth revealing, right? It just means that it's been like revealed to me by them that they are truth revealing.
It's been revealed to you by what?
Sorry, what?
And you said the Platonic object is engaging in this revelation.
Well, it's like beaming the belief into my head. But I'm asking for the relevant difference between the two cases of God revealing things to you such that you can invoke classes, and the Platonic objects beaming the beliefs into my head such that I can invoke classes. I still haven't heard it.
Yeah, well, God's existence is one that he's a being that's always truth revealing, and that's ultimate.
Yeah, the Platonic objects are also always truth revealing. No, but that's not a difference. That's like a similarity.
I'm asking you how you can on what basis you can claim that it's always truth revealing. Because right now it just
I told
like
you like 5 times.
Christian worldview, but it doesn't have like have a basis by which you can actually say it's true.
Look, but if you're saying I'm copying of the Christian worldview, like I don't really see the relevance of that, right? I'm still not claiming them to be personal, right? So I'm just taking the relevant aspects. Is that like you admitting that if I'm copying, then they're actually analogous? Is that the admission, or?
No, it just sounds like you're borrowing certain things from the Christian worldview.
No, but is that an admission of their analogy then?
Sure, you're just saying that they're you're just saying that you have this.
Okay, so if they are analogous, then if you can get revelation from God such that you can invoke classes, then I can get revelation from the Platonic object such that I can invoke classes.
What I'm telling you, I'm saying that what you're doing is you're claiming certain things that you can have, that the Christian world also claims you can have. But I'm asking you how you can ground that, on what basis you can say it's true. You haven't told me.
I told you like 5 times already, right? And the answer is exactly analogous
to me.
What was unclear about my answer? Can you like tell me what my answer is?
The answer to the question, I don't understand how you can, on what basis you can actually.
Look, so tell me what the answer is, right? Because you heard it like 5 times. So if you were listening, you should be able to repeat it generally.
No, you just said you have these true beliefs that you get from this thing that you believe in. I'm trying to ascertain how you can actually have a basis by which you can say that that's true.
It's been part of the revelation.
So you have it always truth revealing, ultimate foundation to all of reality.
Yeah, it's always truth revealing. I don't know about like foundational and ultimate.
Okay. Well, if it's not foundational to all things, then on what basis can you invoke any facts?
Look, you were saying that I can't invoke facts because I can't invoke classes. So that's what we're talking
No, I'm
about.
saying
Right?
you can't invoke
So tell
facts
me,
without
what's the
invoking.
relevant
I'm saying you
feature
can't
between
invoke
the Platonic
facts. I'm saying you
objects?
cannot
Sorry,
invoke facts.
just tell me what is the feature I'm
I'm
missing
saying so.
that
No,
requires
you
me
made
to
an incorrect
look.
statement.
Stop.
You made an incorrect statement, Sasha.
Look, what
Sasha,
is it that
you made
I'm
an incorrect
missing to
statement.
invoke
That's not what I
the
said.
intelligibility?
You misrepresented me. You misrepresented me. That's not what I said. I said you can't invoke facts without reference to God. You cannot do so without reference to the Christian God.
Yeah, and we tried to establish how does that follow, right?
Yeah,
so you
we're
said
talking
that
about
I
something that's
can't.
ultimate. We're talking about something that is ultimate, that's foundational to all of reality, that is always truth revealing, that's omniscient, that's omnipotent, right? That's a mind. I'm asking you how. You said it's not ultimate. You said it's not foundational to all of reality. Well, then the facts of existence, all the facts of existence, do not owe their intelligibility to this one thing, right?
No, of course they do. You said that facts can't be intelligible without identity and classes and so on, right? So identity.
No,
and
I'm talking about the foundational nature of the facts themselves.
What does that mean? Do you mean like where they come
the facts, from? I'm asking you. Well, in
like
part
what's
how
their causal
they're
story?
Facts. In part, no. I'm asking you how they're facts. On what basis are they the facts of the matter?
Okay,
all you're telling me is that they have. All you're telling me is that they have these this Platonic realm, which doesn't answer how they're facts.
Okay, they're facts in virtue of being true, right? So another Platonic object is gonna be propositions, and those propositions have a true value, true or false. So facts are facts in virtue of having the true value of true.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. When I ask you, or maybe not facts, but like states of affairs, right? That they have connectiveness with each other, that they have correlativity, that they have coherence. They have the fundamental nature of these facts is what is going to ground their intelligibility, and I'm asking you where that comes from.
Wait. You said that intelligibility requires
like,
identity, classes, and so on. So I told you where I'm getting that stuff from.
No, I mean all the Platonic realms is just talking about all the Platonic realms talk about are just like the abstract realm of like the forms or like the perfect nature of object, the perfect how they perfectly like the perfect nature of objects.
So
that doesn't answer. Well, that doesn't answer the question I'm asking you.
No, of course it does. Your problem was how do I invoke classes, right? That was like the problem.
That was one of the questions I asked you.
Yeah, so let's focus on that one. Let's not like jump around and between like 50 different issues, right?
Well,
let's just focus on a single issue of invoking classes, right? Your claim is that I can't invoke classes without the Christian God, right? So let's focus on that one. I gave you an explanation of how I invoke classes.
Yeah, but the problem is that
I know that, and how I know that to be reliable, right?
The problem is
so tell me what the issue is with invoking classes, given my view.
Now, because the Platonic forms, in your view, are not ultimate. They're not metaphysical.
Okay, let's focus on ultimate, right? Okay, so ultimate. They are not ultimate. If something is not ultimate, then it can't allow you to invoke classes. Okay, now tell me what's the justification for that inference? Or for that premise, sorry.
That's not what we're...
No, look, I asked you, what's the relevant difference between the Christian God and the Platonic objects, such that one allows me to invoke classes and the other one doesn't? You said one of the things was that the God is ultimate, the Platonic objects aren't. And that I formed as, if something is not ultimate, then it can't allow you to invoke classes. Now, what's the justification for that?
Yeah,
why does something need to be ultimate to allow me to invoke classes?
Well, that's what is. When we're talking about things that are ultimate, we're talking about the grounding or the basis by which things such as classes and categories can be invoked. Things like coherence.
Do you understand the question or no?
Yes, I'm saying it's in
virtue
what's
the question?
Something is ultimate.
What's the question?
You're asking me how these things can be invoked, and if something requires being ultimate.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
I'm using it.
I'm asking you very specifically to justify this premise. I'll post it in the room chat, and I want you to give a justification for that. Why is it not copying? There you go. If something is not ultimate, then it can't allow you to invoke classes. What's the justification for that?
I just told you. We're talking about something being ultimate. That's what we're talking about, the grounding of things like classes, coherence.
Don't move away from classes.
Actuality of states of affairs.
Look, no. Let's just stick on classes. So, I don't want to talk about like state of affairs, anything like that, right? Let's just talk about why classes can be invoked by something or why something non-ultimate can't give you the ability to invoke classes. Why is that?
Yeah, I just answered that question.
No, you didn't. You started talking about.
I just told you that that's what we're talking about when we say that something is ultimate. We're talking about the.
Okay, then wait, hold on. So are you saying that if something allows you to, so is it just the definition of ultimate? That like what's ultimate is what allows you to invoke classes?
Well, if it's ultimate, it does that, and it does the other things I mentioned as well.
Wait, so you think that? Okay. So something that's ultimate has the property of allowing you to invoke classes, invoke state of affairs, and so on, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm defining.
That's what it means, right? Okay. Yeah, but then the sentence that I asked you to justify is just false, right?
When I say that something is ultimate, again, we're saying that it's the basis by which classes can be invoked, that there's correlativity, connectiveness between facts, and this talks about essentially just the nature of all facts.
So,
okay, so there's
that's
something
not
that's ultimate. That's what it's doing.
Look, I gave you a way that this allows me to invoke classes, right? It's part of your definition of ultimate that it allows me to do that. So I need like a reason to say that the thing that allows you to invoke classes needs to be the same as the thing that allows you to.
You said it wasn't
talk
ultimate.
about. No, you need a reason. If you want to say that,
if you want to hold that
I wasn't
done
talking. You're interrupting. You're interrupting.
If you want to hold that as ultimate, then you're going to have to
interrupting.
How it does
You're interrupting.
that amongst other things. That
Can J-Robin be muted until he stops interrupting? Thank you.
Well, you haven't answered my question.
No, I was about to ask you a question because I don't think my question has been answered. So can you stop interrupting?
No, I told you. I already gave you an answer. I told you that something is ultimate.
Can you stop I was in the middle of talking and you started speaking.
We're talking about the ability.
Look, J-Robin, was I in the middle of talking and then you started speaking or no?
He's muted.
Go ahead. To be the overall basis of all things.
J-Robin, if you don't allow Sasha to speak, I'm going to move you to the audience until she's done.
Look, if you want to say that I gave you the way that this allows me to invoke classes, and you. What's wrong with you?
Because I was answering his question.
You're being moderated currently, J-Robin.
All right, I've moved him to the audience. He'll be invited back when you're done. Go ahead.
Okay, so I gave him a way that classes can be invoked by the Platonic objects. Now, wow.
I mean, you knew that was inevitable, right?
That's what he was trying to do.
Right, like that was an inevitability. It wouldn't have mattered.
Good try, Sasha. Good try.
I don't know why my Clubhouse is completely bugged. Okay, can't interact with the interface at all.
Do what?
Well done, Sasha.
Well, that was a childish display from J-Robin, as per usual.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Sasha bailed. I think she's fixing something, though.
Yeah, J-Robin is a lunatic.
Why does Clubhouse not... I don't understand. Like, I'm a mod, right? And I was muting him, but he can manually unmute himself. Yes. So what's the fucking point of muting?
Yeah, the muting is not very effective. I mean, you kind of have to... If people are being really